Sport isn't always about how things look, but sometimes it is. And surely you'd rather have something that looks very nice, very aesthetically pleasing, and very nice on the eye, compared to something that looks pretty ugly or not quite in alignment with what you think, right? Or is it sports and it doesn't matter how it looks? Hey guys, I'm Victoria. I talk all things hockey and baseball related from across the pond in Scotland, and today we're talking about hockey jerseys, or more so ads and sponsors on hockey jerseys. So Gary Bettman for years said that the NHL was never going to compromise on its jersey space and ads were never going to appear on the jerseys. However, that has changed and there are going to be ads on hockey jerseys this season in the NHL. The Washington Capitals were the first team to reveal their ads on jerseys as they partnered with Caesars Sportsbook, meaning that a sports betting logo would now be added to their uniforms. The Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins then followed suit, and this week the Montreal Canadiens just released their ads on jerseys, meanwhile kind of hiding it almost under the announcement of Suzuki's captaincy, which very excited for him. What an amazing hockey player he is. However, rather than people focus on what an amazing an appointment it was for him, people instead were talking about the little logo on the Habs jersey that caught everyone's eye. And so therefore one of the hottest debates in the hockey world right now is about having ads on jerseys and people's thoughts on them. So for this video I decided to do a little bit of research and find out what people thought, and I must say the results were a little mixed, but I'll pop up the poll here, and as you can see the overwhelming majority of people either hate it or don't care. Most people are not advocating for the sponsorships on jerseys basically. There aren't many people saying, yeah, it's a good look. So while fan responses were mixed, with some people saying it's just a tiny ad, who cares? Meanwhile, other people who perhaps were jersey collectors or something were much more mad about it, to say the least. So before we jump into the pros and cons on it, my thoughts are that I hate it. I'm not even going to beat around the bush on this one. I absolutely hate it. So, as you all know, I'm in Scotland. We have pro hockey here in the UK and in Europe in general. And the European jerseys are covered in ads. It is well known that in European hockey, a lot of money can be made from putting sponsors and ads on jerseys, and so they always end up looking something like these ones. Now, my league and my club are very much the same. However, we need that money for the financial stability of hockey. Hockey is not a dominant sport over here. It's not well funded, so they need the revenue that comes off these ads to just pay players, pay for the ice, let us fans actually enjoy the sport. They are very much a necessary attribute. And so I do not like them over here, but I understand their function and I understand that they are a necessary thing to have. Also over here, sponsors are not confined to the jerseys alone. Pretty much every aspect of hockey that you can imagine is sponsored. Everything from the jerseys themselves, to the helmets, to other parts of the uniform, to the ice, even down to when a power play or like a penalty kill is announced, it is sponsored. The puck is sponsored, a lot of the functions in the game are sponsored, and the players are individually sponsored too. So announcements in the rink are rather long-winded, because if a player gets a penalty, for example, that player will be sponsored by someone. Then we will be on the penalty kill, which is also sponsored. Flip it the other way around, if we get a power play, that is also a sponsored part. And whenever the puck shoots off into the crowd, you're told to keep an eye on the insert sponsor here puck. Everything is sponsored. It makes so much money that you cannot give up on it. So over here, it is just an accepted fact. I don't love it. I do not at all. I'm someone who loves things that look nice. I love it. And it's one of my favourite things about NHL jerseys, is the fact that they don't look like the European ones covered in ads. But to summarise, I understand why in Europe we need the revenue from those ads. But the NHL is the most well-funded richest league of hockey in the entire world. They don't need the revenue. They might want it, but it's not necessary for them to still function like it is over here. And I know a lot of people said, oh, but it's only one small badge. Yeah, but that's a slippery slope. I've just put on here what everything looks like over here. Do you really think that when the NHL puts one on, finds out how much revenue they get from it, they're just going to stick to that one thing? No. Next season it'll be, there's suddenly 3 sponsors. They've got them maybe on the arms in here. Then there'll be more sponsors added. Before you know it, you're looking like a billboard like we do over here in Europe. It's not a good look for the NHL. Then before you know it, everything will be sponsored the same as here, because the NHL will have got greedy with this income and found that it is such a good way for them to make revenue that they're going to capitalise on that in every single area of the NHL, which is probably detrimental to the league's heritage in itself. But we'll get into that in a second. I think it's a slippery slope putting one on. I think it's just going to go downhill from there. And the NHL doesn't need it. So the primary reason I'm not a fan, it's just aesthetically bad. You like things to look nice. Yes, you like to have money, but surely you also want to have the reputation as a nice looking league with clean uniforms and things that people really want to buy, which is what the NHL has right now. You know, I look at Leafs jerseys and I think they're stunning. I love them. They're so classic. There's so much history to them. They're very clean. They're very crisp. They are lovely jerseys. You cover them in ads, I am not going to like them as much. And this also goes for when they're playing on the ice. I saw a lot of people saying, you won't even notice it. One, you won't notice. If they start adding more and more, yes, you will notice. And it also takes away from the team's colours, because the chances are the sponsor is not going to be the same brand colours as your team, meaning that you have less of your own team's colours on your jersey. If you play in blue and white and then suddenly you have splashes of bright yellow on you, it doesn't look like the same uniform team jerseys that would have been seen before. And when you are looking at that on the ice, you will see that bit of yellow sticking out because it's not meant to be there, right? My next issue is that people are saying it's good marketing. It's good marketing for the sponsors. It's not good marketing for the NHL. My field is in marketing. I've been working a marketing job recently and I'm about to start a master's in international marketing. So marketing is very much something that I am interested in. So you might say, well, Victoria, if you're so into marketing, surely you'd want your brand on an NHL jersey. Of course you would. As a brand, why wouldn't you want to be on some of the most famous athletes' chests in the world? Why would you not want that? But why does the NHL want it? Obviously, they want it for the money. They want to possibly up the cap. But in terms of their brand marketing, it becomes less seamless than before. If you have been known to be a league who is free of sponsors, who has their own brand only in the stuff you see, it very much alters your marketing strategy to suddenly have other logos all over your brand. And the amount of people who have already said, I'm not buying a jersey with any ads on it, like I just won't buy them. You're losing sales revenue from people buying jerseys. People are going to lose some respect for the jerseys and the branding of the clubs. It's terrible marketing for you. You might have a bit extra money, but extra money doesn't mean good marketing. There's a lot of things that the NHL could do in terms of marketing better, and putting ads on jerseys is definitely not one of those. My next reason for why it sucks that they're putting ads on NHL jerseys, which I did slightly mention already, but is the sheer history that exists behind those tops. I'm especially speaking as someone who's a Leafs fan, but it doesn't matter who you support. You probably are obsessed with everything that's made your club what it is today. And the jerseys are a massive part of that. I look at the jerseys and I can see the progression of them from what they looked like at the start to what they look like now, and you can see the club's history in different chapters through those jerseys. Putting logos on them of something else unnecessarily, it's like tainting it a little in my mind. Maybe that's just me, maybe that's a me thing. I'm a big history geek. That's what I did at uni for the last 4 years. Very into sports history and stuff, so maybe that's just me, but to me it seems like a sort of stain on something so historically significant in your realm of the sports world. A lot of NHL jerseys, including the Habs, and the Leafs and, you know, the original six especially, your logo and your branding is your heritage. So why would you want, when you don't need to share the image of that heritage with these bunch of other betting companies and different brands for these random things that probably aren't linked actually to hockey or your club in any way? I see that as a bit of a taint. Maybe I'm just a snob around hockey traditions and traditional jerseys. Maybe I'm a snob. If I'm a snob, so be it. This is how I feel. I just feel like you're putting sort of a stain on something that's pretty perfect as it is, especially historically. Hockey jerseys have been an important part of the sport since they were created in the 1920s. And with jersey collectors spending an absolute fortune on them every single season, just trying to find game worns, limited editions, or ones that are hard to come by, they are a huge part of the sport, that is undeniable. But the main function of jerseys is practicality. It's for keeping players comfortable by regulating their body temperature in order to improve their performance. This is the main function, and obviously, sponsors or not, this will still be achieved, which is what a lot of people will say, is that, well, if they're doing their job and they're keeping the players comfortable and able to play well, does it really matter? Well, maybe not in functionality, no, like they'll still work, obviously. However, to fans and the team itself, they represent far more than just their function. It's basically the symbol of your community. If you're someone who's really, you feel like your sports team you're in a community of, your jerseys are basically the symbol of that. Typically, when you go to the rink, everybody wears your team jerseys and you watch your team play in the same jerseys. You're all very uniform, it's a community thing, it gives you like this sense of belonging. So they are very important, and I think it's important for them all to look nice. And I'm yet to hear anyone yet say that, oh, they look better with the ads on them. I haven't seen anyone say that, which that's a hot take if anyone actually thinks that, I must say. It's just this really does symbolise your club, your community, and what you all stand for. So if it's a symbol of your community, the brands that you pick to be on your jerseys should really align with your values of the club, but that of course isn't going to be the case. I also just think that this speaks to a wider issue that sometimes fan opinions in the NHL are just completely dismissed sometimes. This was something that was really controversial for a lot of people. This was something that people had said they didn't want. It was something that Gary Bettman said would never happen, and they've decided to overturn it and do it anyway just to get more revenue in. On the other hand, I can't see why people would want the money and for the cap to go up, especially, and like people were saying as Leafs fans, you should want the cap to go up, which yes, I understand. Obviously more money is good, and if it's only one tiny sponsor, is it that big of a deal? No, not really. I don't love it, but if it's only one, that's okay. But as I said, it's a slippery slope when you start adding these things to your uniforms, and I just don't see it as necessary. Yes, more money is nice, but should more money not be gained by marketing your sport better rather than just sticking brands and ads all over your uniforms? No? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, the cap going up would be great. Do I think it's worth it for that? No, personally, I don't. So I know this has been a hot topic for everybody. Leave a comment down below. What do you think? Do you think people like me are just overreacting and we should just shut up? Do you think that it's a good thing and that it's good for the NHL to be sort of branching out in this way? Or do you, like me, just absolutely hate it and think it's an awful idea and that we shouldn't be changing from what works? Because the jerseys are definitely something that does work in the NHL, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So let me know your thoughts. Make sure to like this video for more content and subscribe to my channel as always. Also share this video if you did like it. I'm very grateful for everyone who watches my channel. I will leave links to all my social medias down below. You should check out my Twitter. I talk a lot about hockey there. And until next time guys, I'll be back soon to talk about more hockey things from across the pond. Bye guys.
One step at a time. We all play our